Greetings and salutations from central Louisiana, just a few miles west of Dry Prong. This morning I am filming the International Harvester Model LA engine that I procured over here in the last few days. And that is what this video is about. Okay, today I decided to try to get this head off, and the head bolts came loose real easy, and the push rods fell out whenever I took off the rocker arms here. Here's all the parts I've taken off today. I'm going to try to finish and take the rest of this head off. I'm going to have to cut the fuel line because those fittings are so tight, I'm afraid to put too much heat on them. But I'll cut that line because as corroded as it is, I'm going to have to replace it anyway. Here we go, the moment of truth. Head drops back off. I did cut the fuel line loose. It's so rotten coming into this carb, I'm going to have to replace it anyway. There's the valves right here. Here's one that's stuck open. This one's stuck closed. And let's look inside this bore. It's dark in there and it's got some grit in it. Let me get the flashlight. There it is. Let's see what's inside this cylinder. It's stuck in the rear position, which may or may not be good. It's got some debris in it, sand and such, bug debris. I don't know if it flies a bit. And around here you got some acorns in the water jacket area. It's got a lot more cleaning to do, but at least I got the head off. And I'll take the tank off and we'll see how bad the bottom of it is. And we'll take it loose in the skids and we'll see. We'll just work our way down. I was watching Shop's dog Sam, and he showed me how to remove this handle if I needed to, if the spring is bad. But this spring, once it's loose, seems to be okay. So I don't know if I'll take it out or not. Because he told me I'd have to cut the pin that comes through this. The pin that starts here on this hole and goes through here and here down to here. I'd have to cut it loose, pull this out, drive this piece out, and then try to get a chisel or a pair of pliers on this and pull the rest of it out, which may happen, but we'll see. Need to take the flywheel off, I think, so I can get in and take this side plate off and get into the gears and all and clean it out. But it's not too bad. It's looking not near as nice as one would want. But guess what? I think I'll be able to work with it. And this explains why there is debris inside the water jacket and a mouse nest. This is the side drain port for the water jacket. I'll have to put a pipe plug on that, or a plug with a spigot to it, but that is where we at there. We have this, which I guess is the upper drain plug, but there's a lower one and an upper one. I don't think there's one on the other side. We'll walk around. Nope, just on that other side, and we will work our way through it. It's pretty foul looking, but guess what? We'll put a little bit of cleanup and some makeup on this pig and it'll look good. And here's what the inside of this carb air intake looks like. And it's dirty and all, but I will see how it does. This choke knob, I don't know what's going to happen right there. Let's see if I can take it off. Most of these bolts have drifted loose fairly easy. This fitting here doesn't want to cooperate, and this one I'm afraid of right now. I'll have to be careful with both of them. And I got to take the muffler off. But here I cut it off so I'd have more room to work with it. I'll have to heat this up and see if I can gently, I don't want to get it too hot. This pot metal might start to melt on me if I get it too hot. If you get it hot enough up, I can back it out and back out that needle valve. The choke is questionable. I'm not sure. I must study more about that to see what I've got to do. But for right now, for this afternoon, for just a quick few minutes, I think it looks pretty good. I have brought it down, disassembled to this point. It's all in one bucket, one tray. And we'll get in here and vacuum out and make assessments for whatever parts we need. And maybe, just maybe, I can manage to get this thing free and moving. We're working on it. But the carburetor flap's actually free. The little screw in the center's free. And I looked at it to work with it, and I couldn't get it close enough to vertical for me to get a hold of the disc and pull it out. I was going to pull the unit out and make sure it's good and clean. But sometimes they say leave well enough alone. On the exhaust valve, it seems to be pretty well stuck. I'm going to put it under the press here and see if I can gently ease it down to where I can get my valve spring tool on it for better grip on the back side. It seems to be drifting it back, which is good. Alright, that's pretty well bottomed out. Let's see how far I manage to get it back. There, that's not bad. I've already come to the conclusion that I'm probably going to have to press that one out from, but right now, we're merely trying to get it to where I can get the valve spring off of it. It might be old, it might be vintage, but that spring compression, or his valve spring, is still working great. And we have it pulled out. I did, if you noticed a minute ago, have it on the press and pushed it back. I don't know, I'm going to take a hammer and lightly tap it and see if she'll drift forward. Now, this is going to be back on the press. That's where we're headed. Yep, this is what it was going to take. And it may take a couple of trips up and down to free it enough to actually get it to turn loose. I don't know. It just jumped, which means it got loose. And it did get it loose enough I can spin it, and I think she'll come on out here in just a minute with a little bit of aggravation. Wasn't paying any attention to what I did, and I bent the valve cover stud, but hey, if need be, I can replace that little devil. Or I definitely should be able to unbend it. A little corrosion right here on this area where the water got to it. I don't know if that's enough to give me troubles or not, but I may look for a replacement valve. Let me get something, a bolt that I can tap it the rest of the way out with. Both valves out. This one is the worst of the two. If I replace one, I'll probably replace both of them, but let's buff it up and see what she looks like. There is a definite thinning there where the corrosion got to it. Against this yellow background, you can see it a little better. Not sure it's enough to warrant replacement, but while you're at it and you're in there, to quote another gentleman, you might as well fix it, make it right. So that's two valves out. I need to get a spark plug out, and then I need to redo this stud that I bent. One bent valve cover stud, bent by my stupidity. It did back off with a little heat and back and forth action to break up the rust. So I'll put it in the vise here or on the press and straighten her out enough I can use her again. My goal in this project is not to snap any bolts if I can keep from it. I hate drilling out a bolt and a stud or whatever and redoing it. Anyway, it's pretty well cleaned off. I've got the spark plug is still problematic, and the the exhaust, I'm gonna have to collapse in on itself to get that piece of threaded pipe out. But again, all right, now let's see what happened when we put the pipe wrench on it. Oh, look at that. Collapsed it in and it's just going to come right on off. And the threads are relatively clean, kind of full of spider webs, but there it is. There's what's left of the exhaust pipe. This stuff was super thin metal. If it had been pipe gauge stuff, I'd had troubles. Well, guess where it goes? It goes into the scrap bin. Only thing left, spark plug. Here's the electrode. I'll sell it to you used, but I got to see if I can get a good enough grip on it to try to drift it out. Probably have to put some heat to this and break it up. Well, it absolutely positively has to come out. Heat plus the impact driver. It ain't pretty, but I got it out. I'll hang on to this piece for sure. A lot of the rest of this is junk. I found this interesting in that this come out before the ceramic did. Of course, the ceramic busted, the electrode pulled out of it. But I don't think that's a recent bust. It's dirt is in there, which makes me think this has been broke for a pretty good while. But it is out of the head. As I said earlier, the only thing left in the head right now is the carburetor flapper, throat, throttle, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, the rest of it's clear. The head is cleaned. I blew it out, vacuumed it out. I think it's, I'll wire brush it down real good because I don't think I'm going to be able to do much of that throttle flapper. So as long as it ain't broke, they say leave it alone. Been a little cleaning and vacuuming this morning, and I find out that this is a Series AH Wyco high tension magneto, which should make it easier because I understand that the original H is hard to find parts for. And I have no doubt in my mind this one's going to take a little bit of rebuilding. But vacuuming managed to get some more debris out, including some more mouse nest. And it's a little cleaner in here. I decided I should go ahead and take this mag off, magneto, for you uneducated folks. And much to my surprise, I thought there'd be a nut here and one up here and it come off a stud, but it's got a bolt that comes from here all the way through on both top and bottom and holds that mag on. I'm taking the magneto off just so I can protect it from any future damage right now. Most likely it has to be torn down and rebuilt, but before I get into that inspection, I'll probably be best to get it off of the motor itself, so when I get to cleaning up in here, I won't have to worry about all them crevices where the mag had been. And there she is. A little bit of stubbornness coming off, not a lot. I did have to use a 1/2-inch cold chisel to catch this joint here, just enough to tap it to get it to break the grip it had off, but there it be. It's showing the innards, showing a little bit of rusting going on in here, but I think it's not anything but surface rust. It's not too deep. Should be able to recover it. Got an ID tag here I need to clean off and see what it says. So the more I mess with it, the more dirt and debris I found. I think I finally got or close to getting this area up here cleaned out. One good thing I've discovered is that the freeze plate is gone. It evidently rotted out at some point in time, so a lot of this debris that I'm raking around is ending up on underneath. So that's good. It's going back out that hole. Now the only thing is I'm going to have to go back and recreate that plate, which is, I've seen it done. It's a dimpled plate that you put in there, and when you drive it in, it seats it. So we will have to look at that later. This is what's left of the fuel tank. I could possibly solder in a new bottom, But I got to deal with the sides as well. I think what I'm going to have to do is just cut the bottom out of it and gut it, and then I'll find something else that'll fit inside and make a faux tank. And this outside piece will just be for show. Either that, or if I can find one cheap enough on eBay, we'll do that. But I'm not going to do that until I make sure I get this engine block, the piston, free. This carburetor was flexing to me. I was worried about shattering the pot metal. I'm going to clean it out good. Here we are. Needle jet. This come out fairly well. There's some bits and pieces in there I'm not sure about, but I'm going to clean it up. I don't think I can reuse this. Definitely don't have a spring for it. I have to clean the threads out. Probably can get a remake one from Flywheel Supply. The other fitting I was worried about was the fuel inlet, and I had cut it off because it was so badly corroded. But both of them, the jet knob and the inlet, I gave it just a little bit of heat with the torch, and I sprayed some liquid wrench around, and they started coming, and I just started using the old technique, especially on this one. You loosen, tighten, loosen, tighten, loosen, tighten. And it finally just spun right on out. So, but this carb has got to be cleaned up and cleaned out. It's got a lot of gunk in it. I'm not sure what all was in there, but hopefully I can salvage this carburetor, because these things aren't cheap. The fuel tank is not cheap either, but I don't think I can salvage it. On further investigation on this carb, I found a crack. I'm not sure how serious that is. Possibly can overcome it with a mite bit of JB Weld. We don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I didn't crack it when I was taking it loose, because like I say, this is not an inexpensive piece. So we'll just move forward step at a time, day by day. I probably JB Weld that, I think, enough that it will hold and function I didn't say it functioned properly, but it will little JB Weld make a ring around, hold tight while JB Weld sets, should hold it good and well, and clean those threads out, and we should be raring to go. Looking at this carburetor, I can say it's got a ways to go on cleaning, of course, but this piece here kind of worries me a little bit, how it's cracked and pocked out there. I'm going to have to JB Weld that. Hey, it'll probably work. Get to finish cleaning everything out. The spring for this throttle knob is toast, or at least I would say it's toast. It still works somewhat, but it's broke, and it would be best if I can find a replacement for it, to put a replacement in. But this throttle control knob and needle valve here is needle. I thought it was shot, but cleaned it up. It looks pretty good. Threads cleaned out nice, so I think I can salvage that. Just got to find a spring. How about that?